curtains have been pulled to the side. The fall season is fast among us. Get ready for this weekend, folks. You're going to have to set your clocks back an hour. We are full swing in the NFL season. NFL Week 7 with MnM going deep. Week 8 preview as well. As always, Kyle McCumber, your host, and my co-host, Cole Mueller. Tough week for us both, Cole.
Yeah, this was a what the fuck? Never mind. I heard something. I thought the world was ending in the background of the garage, but guess what? We're gonna be make it. It has been a tough week. I've been seeing things and hearing things just like Jordan Love was this past Sunday. But no, you didn't really have a tough week, Kyle, because your
Oh
team
for
won, and that's all that matters.
0 for 6 in our picks.
I'm 1 for 5.
You went 1 for 5, so you got your one win there. I got my one win with my
Yes.
favorite team. Um, Week 7, interesting week. We'll dive right in, and we'll start in New Orleans. Two teams matched up against one another. Jaguars, Saints. A lot of history here. Two teams separated by 550 miles. Quick trip out to Baton Rouge for the Jaguars, who come out victorious, 31-24.
That felt like a long time ago. Just think, I know we're doing this on Wednesday now, and it's not the usual Monday recording
Yeah.
time, but the Saints with those two turnovers in the first quarter, that's just what I'll take away from that game. And just thinking like, wow, the Jaguars are really just going to give this game to the Saints. And to the credit, I mean, the Saints were in that game all the way to the end, even though the Jaguars they look like they have so much firepower right now. And you can look at the AFC, and from this past week 7, you'll say maybe the Ravens as your favorite team with the juice, like we say, and
Mm-hmm.
then second, you're thinking probably the Jags and the Chiefs. Those are I think what you're looking at as far as with the Bills let down, the Bengals still figuring out who they are. Uh, Chargers nothing like they could be,
I don't think the
and
Steelers are good. Browns don't
yes,
have a quarterback.
yeah, and and we'll get there, but the Browns look like they're playing their way in, but
Um,
without,
Trevor Lawrence looked really good with this sprained knee he had. He played with a brace on. I think he broke his career rushing yards in a single game. That was interesting to see. Um, he had 59 rushing yards. Um, Derek Carr didn't look great. Looked scared in the pocket. Was yelling at receivers. It seemed like the Jags let off the gas in this game. I don't know why, but it let the Saints creep back into it and then have an opportunity on their final drive to tie the game up. And unlucky for the Saints, lucky for the Jaguars, Foster Moreau completely forgot how to catch.
yeah, I don't know if that was as warranted as it was being on Foster Moreau. That was not the easiest catch in the world,
It's
especially
not.
for a non-receiving tight end. Like he's not known as a you flex him out wide and have him run routes all day to make a separation as a great matchup against the defense. He's not one of those tight ends. He's better in line. And he definitely had to reach for that ball, high and away in the corner, which isn't, that's what you want a quarterback to do, but you don't have an acrobatic receiver making that catch. So you'd like him to have a little bit more on him, especially with it being open. So not saying he's right for dropping it, but
Was it a perfect throw? No, but it hit him in the hands. What are we all taught? It hits you in the hands, you got to catch it.
yes. But speaking of hitting in the hands, the refs with the hands in the pockets, grabbing the flags, that last drive, Browns, Colts. I mean, I was rooting for the Browns. I was so drunk that I didn't even really, I was just so happy that the Browns kept on keeping their drive alive. And, that was an exciting game. Nevertheless, the refs, if you're on the winning side of a game with bad calls, you don't notice them, specifically when you've had, 14 drinks, but not that any of us did. The issue is people are talking about that as the outcome of the game. I think people could talk more about, hey, what did Myles Garrett do? Like we were discussing during the game, causing 16 points realistically of that football game. And then PJ Walker might just be, the plus version of Deshaun Watson right now with how Deshaun Watson's been playing. And luckily for you, he's out another game. But Colts also, Gardner Minshew played like we thought he was going to play against the Jaguars the week before.
How
And
you thought he was going to play.
yes, and Jonathan Taylor,
He looks
he's
a
back.
lot better. Yeah, he
He's
definitely looked
back.
very good. Jonathan Taylor, I thought was kind of like him and Josh Downs were like the X factors in this game, making big plays, moving the chains. Yeah, Browns got lucked out this one. They did get a little help from the referees, and as a fan, I when the referees help you out, I don't think you're gonna think twice about it. You're just gonna accept the fact that your team won, and in the scoreboard on the standings, you have the W in your column. I've been on the opposite side of that as a Browns fan. I don't know how many times in my fandom, so I don't really care, and yeah, it doesn't bother me that we finally got a call, and we got a call the week before to help us win, and it's okay in my opinion. This shit happens in the NFL. That's why I like having true officials. I do agree a little bit with what Jim Irsay is coming out and saying, like, hey, maybe we should look at reviewing certain plays and flags at the end of games, like within 2 minutes. All in all, Browns defense were bad at tackling in this game. I don't think that is going to continue. Um, that's how you get the 38 points for the Colts and a couple of blown coverages. We've seen that a little bit this season with the Browns here and there. It happens. The Browns, in fact, to score 39 points is miraculous without your starting quarterback. And like you mentioned, Myles Garrett attributed, blocks of field goals. So that's keeps 3 off the board for the Colts, strip sack that leads to a touchdown, and then a strip sack that is literally a touchdown. That's fucking 17 points right there, swing by one player on the field. Did he look like the best player on the field this game? 100%. Jerome Ford goes down with an ankle injury. That's unfortunate. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns on the day. PJ Walker already decided, since recording this on Wednesday and not Monday, like usual. PJ Walker already announced that he's going to start against the Seahawks this week. We'll get into the preview later on, but wanted to mention that.
Yes. No, I think you mentioned last thing I'll say in that game, Browns had their backup quarterback. So did the Colts. And so one team scoring 38 points, one team scoring 39. I know you want to say, yeah, Gardner Minshew's an experienced veteran backup. PJ Walker is too. But
PJ Walker has less games, and Gardner Minshew's been a actual starter in the NFL and could probably start on other
PJ
teams
Walker started
if he wasn't behind Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. PJ Walker started 6 games last year. And I get what you're saying. He's both. I'm just saying both are formidable, good backup quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I'll say is I thought the Browns were a little bit more shut down than they were in this game. But at the same time, the Browns offense did no favors for them throughout times where they were reeling. And so it was an exciting game to watch. Nevertheless, the Colts at points looked like, besides the turnovers, they couldn't be stopped. But that was the thing. They had turnovers. Going into the next game, we have Bills, Patriots. Another nail biter, another big upset. Bills were 8.5-point favorites at the time when we did our podcast, and Patriots at home. Mac Jones looks like a guy again, and that offense still continues to play complimentary football when they absolutely need it. And a lot of Patriots fans are like miserable because they just want to get to the first 5 picks of the draft, and they don't want to do this meddling of seasons, but makes it for exciting football when they can beat some of these elite teams in the AFC, and we're all concerned about the Bills now.
Yeah, I think the biggest. I don't think the Patriots are going to be competing for a playoff spot. I think they'll probably end up with a top 10 pick in the draft. I don't think Patriots fans really need to worry about that. more concern should be Bills fans and the performance of their team. Their offense looks lackluster. Their offense looks like it has no spark, and their defense is riddled with injuries. And you just gave up 29 points to an offense that is lackluster, to say the least. I think that the Bills really need to take a good, hard, long look in the mirror at themselves, see what works for them, and get rid of all the plays that are junk plays, in my opinion, that are netting them 0 to incompletions, things like that. Like, I don't see a lot of crossing routes out of the Bills offense. I don't see a lot of Josh Allen under center. That gives you a little bit more options when they do that. And I don't know how many times they're going to run James Cook directly into the center or right guards behind, and he doesn't get a gain after getting a carry and a touch. Bills should be concerned, especially with how where their hopes were for this season, and same thing as last season. And I think fans of that team are now nervous of what the future of this season holds for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a long year though, and you'd rather them be in October than be in December right now. And I think every Bills fan's optimistic that they'll eventually.
They can 100% get hot. They can
Yeah.
100% get hot. I think I was just going to pull up the Bills' schedule these next couple of weeks. I think you have 2 weeks before your bye. They have the Thursday night game this week. You have the Bengals before your no, wait, that's not their bye week. Their bye week is week 13. But before their bye, they play Bucks this week, Bengals next week, Broncos, Jets, already lost to them one time. You better split the fucking series. Eagles before the bye, and then they come out of the bye and play the Chiefs and Cowboys back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. So tough schedule.
Yeah.
Tough schedule. I don't think
Losses
any
like
of the teams. I don't think the
lost.
Broncos are even a terrible team, and
Yeah.
they're better than they. I mean, they played the Chiefs tough. They played three teams tough in the last 3 weeks. They're a lot different. Everyone just sees the 70-20 Miami game and thinks the Broncos are the worst thing of all time, and that's not the case. Uh, Going on to Commanders Giants, kind of a gritty game. Tyrod Taylor versus Sam Howell, and that game went down to the Giants 7-yard line with Sam Howell having a chance to tie the game. And I think if with Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, all that bullshit, I think if they score right there, they're going to go for two, unlike what they did with Philadelphia 2 weeks before that, where they could have scored and went for the win. They went for overtime and lost. I think they were going to go for two there. Really just, I think the biggest thing with the Commanders is they have such a talented roster. And if they can play with their talent on offense, and I think the one thing that we need to understand with the Giants is they have a phenomenal defensive line.
You
They're
definitely
stacked,
saw it in this game. You saw it in this game. They put a lot of pressure on Sam Howell.
but I'm not going to be the guy that's going to say that, I watched every single play of that game. I only watched, 4 minutes of highlights and then saw the end of the game checking on the score. So
A lot of action going on at the 1 o'clock slate, and this was probably, if not the worst game, the second to worst game. We'll get to another worst game, another bad game later. But if, like, looking back at the scoreboard, Giants score 14 points in the first half and don't score again. There's no scoring in the second half. Very pedantic game. The story of this one is Giants front seven and the Commanders offense. Where do you go now? I saw a lot of tape or highlights, as you must say, because I don't break down tape, of the Commanders just running these really long, their receivers running like long routes that take a while to develop. And they did not have the protection to hold up against the Giants front seven, and they made no adjustments. We talked about Eric Bieniemy maybe taking over the head coaching job for Ron Rivera if he gets fired. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think Bieniemy really needs to make some changes to his offense because his offensive line is bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a week to week league. Weeks past, Commanders' offensive line was a strength for the team. So I really think it's what it comes down to is the Giants' front seven is just better than they were last year, and they were good last year. And if they had more consistency in the secondary and on their offensive line, which is trash, then maybe they'd be kind of where they were a season ago, looking in the
I,
playoff.
I would also keep starting Tyrod Taylor. I don't know why.
You
I,
paid $40 million a year for
you
that didn't
did,
happen.
but like they've been in these last two games. He's not turning the ball over as much. And he's gotten the guys that Giants fans have been asking to get involved in the offense involved. He's been targeting Darren Waller. He got Jalen Hyatt in this game involved. Jalen Hyatt had only 5 targets, 2 receptions, and about 75 yards. But that's why you draft that guy. Like, he's a down the field threat, could take it to the house any play.
Yeah. Next game we have Lions Ravens 38-6. Probably just the biggest whiff of a game, thinking that would be probably the best 1 o'clock p.m. slate matchup of the day. And then the Ravens just look quickly like the best team in the NFL. And it's a week to week league. I think that's the mantra of the season is week to week because some of these teams look like they're never going to be beaten. And then the next week they flop to a team that's below 500. So this was one of those where it looked like two Goliaths or two teams with a lot of hot, energy behind them. Detroit came out flat, and the weakness of Detroit is if you can out physical them, especially with the front O line, and get to Jared Goff before they can, disrupt their play action, get in the way of. They like to do a lot of run to build the pass, and frankly, they haven't been able to run the ball recently, and they've been great at just the short pass game. That's a extension of their run game. And because they were able to get to Goff, he was frazzled and he looked like old Goff.
He
So
he did look like old Goff. He definitely took a step backwards in this game, and so did the Lions defense. Lions defense was, I think, ranked fourth in the league in rush yards. They got cooked in this game, whether it be Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. It was anybody on the Ravens offense was doing anything they wanted to. I think that Lions, I wouldn't start to worry. I think, you're still building a little bit. You're taking those steps forward. But later down the road, when you face tougher opponents like this Ravens team, you need to see more fight out of your team, and you need to see your team not come out so flat, like you said. They did come out flat, and the Ravens just kept rolling. The Ravens, I think, easily could have put up 50 on them if they didn't take their foot off the gas. And we're up, what, 35-0
yeah,
before the half? Like
it
something
was
like that?
crazy. But one thing that we said about the Ravens is that they just weren't clicking, and I think they finally clicked. Like they weren't having Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman dropping balls. The passes to Mark Andrews were actually like within his reach. There was like just so close. I felt like, especially in the passing game of
Yeah,
just
Mark
making
Andrews went off.
plays. And every single, I mean, Rashad Bateman was, there was a game ago or 2 games where he just dropped 3 easy balls and he caught everything that came his way. It seemed like from what I watched, and
Yeah, Nelson Aguilar was scoring touchdowns.
yeah. So I mean, you look at their four. That's that 4 receivers for the Ravens. You go Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and Nelson Aguilar. Those are 4 legitimate receivers. Like Rashad Bateman, he has a ton of talent. He's a first-round pick. Odell Beckham, call him washed or not, you're going to trust Odell Beckham when it comes to a big play, big moment in a football game. And then you have Zay Flowers, who's just electric, and he's just getting more opportunities each week. And then Nelson Aguilar, okay, you can make fun of him for the drops he had 5 years ago in Philadelphia when he was a second-year player. he's not the same player. He hasn't been for 3 years. So I don't know. I
I
think
don't think
that's
Nelson Aguilar is that good, and I think Odell Beckham isn't the playmaker he used to
Nelson
be.
Nelson Aguilar is not a number one or number two receiver. But
I think you
if
have
you
a
have
case
number
with
four,
Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. You have a case there. I don't think the other two are that great.
you put them as a collective group, though, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With a Mark Andrews in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Lamar Jackson who can run. So you're that defense that's going to be looking at them as they got their hands full.
And we mentioned last week, maybe the Ravens go to Lamar's legs in the red zone to get into the end zone. And we saw that in this game. He had a rushing touchdown and 4 passing touchdowns.
And then, so speaking of running, Deontay Foreman still running against the vaunted Las Vegas Raiders. What was that score? It was
30 to 12.
30-12. And it just looked like, again, another game where the Raiders were on a win streak, came out flat. Their defense that just seemed like flying all over the place, just didn't know where they were when they were in Chicago. Tyson Bagent, the D2 quarterback, I mean, he was a game manager. I didn't watch really a lot of Tyson Bagent throwing the football. I'm not gonna lie. I saw a couple highlights, but it just seemed like their offense was predicated on the run and got what they wanted every single time they went out in the field. And the Raiders just had no answers on offense.
Absolutely zero answers on offense. Doesn't help that Brian Hoyer is throwing interceptions and pick sixes. Tyson Bagent looked okay, I would say. I wouldn't say he looked great. Wouldn't say he's in the realm of taking Justin Fields' job. I don't think that at all. I think maybe he can be a very good backup. Um, Bears defense, yeah, they stood tall in this game. This this game was just laughable to me. Like 30 to 12. I didn't think it was going to be a good game. It ended up not being a good game. Went the opposite way of what I thought it would be, but which is a surprise. But if you're a Bears fan, you got to be a little happy getting another win in the column. Raiders fans are probably like, "Where the fuck do we go now?"
Yeah. All right, going into our next game, we got the Falcons and Buccaneers. Probably the biggest storyline in this game is Bijan Robinson not playing due to sickness last second. But regardless, Atlanta went on the road, got the win. Tampa had no run game. Just seemed like a defensive battle. Desmond Ritter doesn't do anything special each week, but like I said a couple weeks ago, I hope he does just enough to keep his starting job so that Atlanta keeps him as their starting quarterback for years. And I mean, maybe he proves me wrong and the lizard man becomes, some big guy. Something about him makes me not like him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't really like his face. He definitely looks like a squirrel to me. I think
We can't be mean. You can't just make fun of his appearance.
Okay. Well, here's a positive note for Desmond Ritter. You didn't throw any interceptions this week. There's a
Yeah,
positive note. Good
play better
job.
than Jordan Love.
You didn't throw a single interception, but you fumbled twice on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, that was huge. I remember seeing that. So, I mean, a huge win for the Falcons. All of a sudden, the
Huge,
Falcons are in the playoff picture, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
huge
But
win, and I don't know if you're a Buccaneers fan. Oh, this is bad. You probably are walking into this game thinking you're gonna get an easy dub, and it was not. And you were kind of chasing this entire time.
yeah, well, get a running back. That's what they need. But
Quarterback would probably help too. Baker is
week to week league, you were talking great about Baker.
he was doing good. Now
Week to
he's
week.
looking like Baker that I know.
Going into our next one, though, we got Steelers Rams.
Oh God.
24-17. Pittsburgh gets the road victory. Steelers go to 4-2.
Everybody's
Second
talking
place,
about TJ Watt.
second place in the AFC North, just over the Browns, and Rams fall to 3-4, and to me look like one of the best 3-4 teams I've seen around, especially in the NFC. I still consider them in the race, just like the Vikings at 3-4. I'll say this: I didn't watch uh the full game. Obviously, this was a 4 o'clock, right?
Yep.
So yeah, like Cole Mueller watched absolutely none of it in live, but I did watch the highlights. You see the pick by TJ Watt, and TJ Watt just looks like it's a Miles Garrett and TJ Watt race for Defensive Player of the Year, in my
Yeah, they're
opinion.
competing with one another.
And that defense comes and goes through him. The call at the end of the game, what was it? The yardage where the ref couldn't see, and
So they marked it a first down for the Steelers. Sean McVay didn't have any timeouts remaining, so he couldn't challenge it. And since they called it a first down on the field, it wasn't automatically reviewable. And if it was marked short, it would have been an automatic review. So yeah, that's a rule that needs to change. That's pretty stupid. Um, yeah. Steelers fans, let me talk to you real quick. Your defense isn't going to continue to score touchdowns for you. I'm sorry. So your offense is going to have to start putting up more than 10 points in games. Yeah, sure, they put up 17 in this game. That's fine. That's great. Most teams are going to score over 20 points in a regular season game. Rams, I don't know what the fuck. I mean, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua balled out.
they're just a team waiting to hit on all cylinders. I think the Rams are
A
a lot
sleeping
more.
giant.
They're a lot closer to the Rams of 2 years ago than they are the Rams of last year.
Yeah, they're
So
way past last year. And I don't know what's going to, like, Steelers fans are obviously happy at where they're sitting at, but I don't think it's sustainable at
yeah,
all. Like their offense, it does not look great, and their defense is continuously bailing them out. It's the same thing with the Browns. Like the defense is bailing them out. But I think the Browns offense has more potential than the Steelers offense. Also depends on a fucking quarterback plays, but
that will go. Next game we have Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks. Seattle gets the home victory 20-10. Kind of a close one up until, the second half where they kind of got pulled away. You have anything on this one?
yeah, Seahawks made some dumb mistakes and easily could have won this game by 40 if they didn't make these dumb mistakes. DK Metcalf didn't play, so Jackson Smith and Jigba had a bigger role. He caught his first touchdown, and then Bobo got a touchdown. Arizona Cardinals, the first couple weeks of the season were fun. I told you guys last week on the podcast that I think last week was the start of the wheels falling off, and this is 100% the wheels falling off. Josh Dobbs, people figured him out. It took 4 weeks, and people figured him out. Positive note for you guys, Kyler Murray is starting to practice again. Maybe you'll see him in a couple weeks, or maybe your team front office will not play him this year so he doesn't get hurt again, because it's already a lost season, and you guys are probably trying to get one of the first, if not two top 5 picks. You're trying to get 2 top 15 picks with having the Houston Texans pick. Seahawks, I'm interested in seeing the Seahawks Browns game this week. I think we'll get to it later, but I think the Seahawks are a lot better than what people think they are.
I agree. I think the Seahawks are a good football team. I don't think they're a great football team. I think
But can be great.
you look at them as they're the Jaguars of the NFC. That's how I relate them. They're not one of the Giants, but they can beat a Giant.
They can beat a Giant, and maybe a couple things fall their way. Hey, they're my Super Bowl pick. Remember that.
Okay. Well, whatever. Going to the next game, the Chargers and Chiefs.
Oh my
31
God, dude.
17. Chargers are 2-4. They're probably the most disappointing team right now, looking at record and where you expect the team to be. Uh, Chiefs have the highest or the 6 game win streak, the longest win streak of the season, and in the NFL right now. And Travis Kelce's unstoppable. And it just looks like the Chargers can't get out of their own way.
I think everybody in the NFL just wants Taylor Swift to break up with Travis Kelce. I think everybody wants that because they think that Travis Kelce has like superpowers now, and there's like this aura around the Chiefs of like getting Swifty fans involved and yada yada yada, and then like NFL's getting more money, so now it just seems like it's like the Chiefs league, like they're the kings. The Chiefs, I will say, they are starting to evolve. We've seen them have a really high powered offense. They did put up 31 points in this game. Let's not shake a finger at that. But what I'm getting at is their defense held the Chargers to 17 points, and they started to make Justin Herbert look pedestrian as a quarterback. You know, all these people talk about Justin Herbert probably being top 5 quarterbacks. He has not looked top 5 this year, and I'll tell you, this game and the Cowboys game, he looked very average at best. I know that can change. We've been saying this in this podcast. It's a week to week league. If you had the over in this game, you'd be fucking pissed because all the points that were scored in the first half and almost none scored in the second half. Chargers fans, I'd start to worry. But hopefully Brandon Staley gets fired and you pull in a coach that gets the best out of Justin Herbert and knows how to design plays that get Josh Palmer and hopefully Mike Williams when he comes back next year, Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler in better positions to get them the football to make plays, because I don't see it on their offense. And hopefully you bring in a defensive coordinator as well that can get the talent on your defense in Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. in the right positions to make plays on your defense that can mitigate like making your offense have to put up 40 points every week so that you can win games.
Yeah. Last game, Sunday Night Football, Dolphins, Eagles. Everyone's, hyped
It's not
up
the
game
last
of the
game.
week. Last game of the day on Sunday. Dolphins, Eagles. Eagles 31, Dolphins 17. Really was never close. It just seemed like the Eagles were a much more physical team. And the Dolphins, sorry, they still have those explosive plays that no matter what the team they're going to play, they're going to show up. And that's kind of what gives you a glimmer of hope as a Dolphins fan was they would still answer. Just I felt like once the Eagles, they got in the third and fourth quarter and they were, hey, we're going to go for it on our own 25-yard line
Yeah.
on fourth down just because we want to, and they're only up 7. So it's like the Eagles tooch pooch or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the tush push. What that's probably the most annoying thing to me. That's way more annoying to me than the Taylor Swift fucking Travis Kelce drama.
It's funny because
But
those are like the two big headlines that are being continuously talked about this NFL season. People hating the tush push, the brotherly shove, and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce dating, and now the Chiefs are like the biggest fan base in the world. I don't think the tush push is illegal. I don't think that play should be outlined. And also, if it does get outlawed, they're just going to quarterback sneak it and not push Jalen Hurts over the pile. Yeah, it might not net them like 3 yards sometimes, but it'll still get the 1 yard that they need most of the time. I think the Eagles in this game showed that they're kind of still kings of the NFC and can defensively scheme something up to shut down these high-powered offenses like a Dolphins. And I think Mike McDaniel as a head coach needs to figure out how he can get into these matchups against higher like echelon teams and perform a little bit better, because I don't think he's beaten a team over 500 or something in a while.
Bills. No, the
That was
Bills beat them.
last. Yeah, that's the last time. That's the last time. It was week 4 last year when they beat the Bills. That was the last time they like beat a team over 500.
I don't know if I believe that, but
I'm
you can show me
pretty
that.
I'm pretty
Show me
sure
that
that's the last
stat
time.
next episode or something. Next last game of the week, we have Niners at Vikings. Kyle's lock of the week, and
Yeah, and the
the
Niners blow it.
Vikings 22, Niners 17. Brock Purdy got hurt again, and really just Kirk Cousins balled out.
Ooh, balled out.
Jordan Addison
Balled
looks
out.
like looks like you know Justin Jefferson baby version. And I know that first it was like the Charvarius Ward stole the pass from him in the first quarter. And then back in the second quarter, Jordan Addison just robs it from Charvarius Ward and gets that cool touchdown. So it's just kind of a fun matchup to watch throughout the game.
Does it
And
drive you a little nuts that people are saying, like, now that the Vikings have 2 weapons on the outside, like, do you guys not remember that Adam Thielen used to be here? It was pretty good,
yeah, I mean, I think they look at Jordan Addison as like just kind of like
more
a
explosive and things like
yeah.
that.
And I mean, KJ Osborne's a really underrated slot receiver. And
He's good
he
too. Yeah.
can so I mean he gets a lot of targets week in and week out. They have TJ Hawkinson. Again, they were a 13-win team last year. Okay, they lost Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's not really doing anything. You're not really you want more out of the run game.
Yeah.
Their defense, I've always said I'm a huge fan of Brian Flores. I think the fact that they blitz the most out of any of the team, they make more work with less, and they still have stars like Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith. Like I'm probably missing a fucking good corner in their fucking secondary. But
I think their defense is starting to put it together. That's like the best thing we can say. I think their defense is really coming together as a unit. Kirk balled out, and their offensive line. Hats off to their offensive line. They kept Kirk upright, I think, almost the entire game. I don't remember San Francisco sacking him very much. Um, yeah, and Jordan Addison, player of the game, most likely. 49ers fans, I still wouldn't panic if I were you. You're missing Deebo Samuel, and you're missing. I think the bigger piece that you're missing is Trent Williams. There was a lot more pressure on Brock Purdy. He didn't have as much of a clean pocket as you've seen these first 6 weeks of the season that he had with Trent Williams in on the field. You're gonna get him back soon. Brock Purdy's in concussion protocol right now. You have a bye after this week. All 3 of those dudes are coming back after the bye week.
and then so that was making this just that's first down, complete with a review, go into second down preview. We'll make this a little quicker. Bucks at Bills first game tomorrow night, Thursday night football in Buffalo. Bills are 8.5-point favorites. What do you got on this one?
Bills 8.5-point favorites. I think that's fucking really high for the Bills right now. I think that it would make more sense if that was probably 4.5, 5.5. But as we saw last week, I know nothing about the NFL because I went 0 for 6. But the Bills don't look good right now. The Buccaneers aren't amazing either. But yeah, like, do we expect Josh Allen to just come back and be a superhero again?
Like it's the Bills are a lot better at home, and it's a night game. It's a short week. The Bucks just lost a home game to a bad team on the road, so that's maybe what goes into it. And the Bills have a great roster, and the Bucks have an okay roster.
Yeah, maybe the defense for the Bills starts to stand up. Von Miller, we were talking about it when we were watching the games this past week, is on a pitch count. Maybe that pitch count gets increased and he starts to make a bigger difference on the defense, get some more pressure. But Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White being done, that hurts. That hurts.
Next game we have Vikings at Packers, 1 p.m. on Sunday. 9 games on the 1 p.m. slate this week. There were only 6 last week. So nine games this 1 p.m. slate. First one we got Vikings at Packers, even line. It was a 1.5 Packers favorites, and then Monday Night Football happened with the Vikings beating the Niners. Quickly turned to even. I expect to see that completely shift and go in the Vikings' favor. But for this one, this is a
You know, we completely skipped the Packers Broncos review, right?
do we need to do that?
I mean, you're a Packers fan.
So I'll just cover the Packers Broncos very shortly on my Packers
I know
Vikings.
you purposely did it.
I mean, we're a second half team, but the problem about being a second half team is if you have the worst offense in like the last 30 years in history in the first half, like you can only be so good as a second half football team while also being the youngest football team in the NFL. So you're the
I
youngest football team. You're also the worst offensive football team in the first half, like in history. So as good as you are in the second half, you give yourself no room for error. And this is now the 4th game where you're playing from behind. Like week 1, you play the Bears, you look phenomenal. Week 2, you're playing the Falcons. You should have won that football game. You're up by 13 or you're up by 12 in the fourth quarter.
well,
Then week 3, you're at the Saints or you're at home against the Saints. You're down 17. You come back and win that football game. Then you go to week 4, quick road week or quick home 4-day turnaround against the Lions, who are hot. Get that game, fall behind. You make it close again, but still you lose the football game. You were down 27-0 at one point. Then you go to fucking who do we play? Fucking
Vegas.
yeah, Vegas should have won that football game. You're down big in the first half. You come back, you have the chance, 2 chances to win it. Same kind of fucking deal with the Broncos. Everyone said the Broncos are the worst football team in the NFL. I still think the Broncos are better than we're giving them credit for, but still, you had every opportunity that win that football game. Disappointing. I still don't put it on Jordan Love.
That last throw bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially
You know what pisses me off though
I
is how
look.
many inopportune penalties we have.
Yeah.
Who our best offensive, most veteran player we have, Elton Jenkins, at left guard, when Jordan Love scrambles, makes a phenomenal play, scrambles, gets it to 3rd and inches, 3.5 yard at the 40-yard line. That's field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
That's really for Anders Carlson, that's a 56, 57-yard field goal to go up and ahead on the football game.
Mm-hmm.
So like we didn't really need another yard at third and inches. And instead that 6-yard scramble gets called back on 2nd and 7. And it's now 3rd and 20. So you hate that.
Yeah, yeah.
But besides that,
I think that last throw, though, I think he was just trying to make a play. The thing that I think you would probably see if you look back at it, AJ Dillon's like wide open with a ton of room to run, and you only need a field goal to win the game. You don't need a touchdown. You don't have to throw that ball that far. I understand down distance and time of the game, but AJ Dillon was right there. I think my biggest takeaway watching this game with you, if you guys really think Jordan Love is the guy, and I know we talked about it, and I'm not writing him off at all. I think he can be better. I think you got to give the guy some fucking weapons. Like Christian Watson, he's pretty good, but he's been hurt like this whole season. And then every other guy you have is an undrafted free agent.
that's not true. That's not true. I mean, they're all really young. Romeo Dobbs is a 4th-round pick from
Fourth round.
last year. Romeo Dobbs, now he can
He's
ball.
solid. He's
Romeo
solid,
Dobbs
but
can ball. Now he also like he makes a couple like, oh, you come on, make that catch. But like he had one deep ball that was a Jordan Love threw it perfectly in his hands, and he had just a back shoulder like 35 yards down the field and just went right through his hands. Yeah, there was some contested, but it's still his hands touched the fucking ball like this. Jaden Reed, the 2nd round rookie this year, 2nd round pick.
he's a second
So
round pick.
the second round pick, and he's a really good player. He
I
made
think
some good
he's I think he's good too. He's made
Dontavian.
some, and then Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, it's a fifth round pick
But
and
like
a
what I'm
rookie.
saying to you, Cole, is if you put a Marvin Harrison Jr. on your team, do you not think that Jordan Love? Like, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that he's on the field. Do you not
Yes.
think that Jordan Love is going to look better? And then these other guys, Dobbs, Wicks, and Reed, are going to look better?
Yeah, I want an offensive lineman. That's what I want, truthfully. I think
Okay.
I want one more offensive lineman, and I really want another defensive. I want a Nick Bosa on my team, is what I want. I want a
Yeah.
Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
But besides that, going to Vikings Packers, I say it every week. It's a must win. But at this point, I keep on convincing myself, hey, you win. I've seen too many Aaron Rodgers seasons, and I got to move away from that. But I just see like so many opportunities when you're down a couple of games below 500 to still sneak in the playoff race. And I look at the NFC, and I still see opportunity to sneak in as a 7 or 6 seed. And I'm right now as a 7th seed, like right now, and this will be kind of like capturing the NFC really quick. You know your 4 division winners, like right. You got the Eagles, you got the Lions. I'm gonna say one team from the NFC South. Pick your poison. I'm gonna probably go Buccaneers. Still
I was
pull it
going to say
out,
Falcons.
but no. See, I think it's one of those teams. But then the fourth team is going to
Is
be
the
the
Niners.
49ers, and then I think you have the I'm fucking missing the other good team that's in there. Seahawks.
Seahawks, and then the Rams.
So yeah, so I'm telling you, like right now, if the Packers want to stay in this playoff race, they got to compete with the Vikings, the Commanders. They got to compete with
Cowboys.
the other two of the three-headed dragon, the a three-headed autistic dragon in the NFC South, and then they got to compete with the Rams. Those are the
Cowboys.
I already concluded the Cowboys as a wild card team.
Okay. Okay.
So I think the Cowboys are the 5 seed, and I think the Seahawks are the 6 seed, or vice versa. And then there's a 7 seed race for just kind of some bullshit. But Packers are still in that if they win against the Vikings. They're probably fucking not if they don't. Although they're not mathematically eliminated. But anyways, it's going to be a huge game. It's at Lambeau. That helps right the ship. Vikings are coming in hot. I think the Packers got to play angry eventually. And if you get a first quarter's touchdown by the Packers, watch out. That's all I'm going to say. If they don't score in the first quarter and the Vikings, then probably won't. But I'm not
Who's
saying I like the Packers in this game again.
who's scoring this touchdown?
Who's scoring?
Yeah. It's not like a question like that. I'm just saying, like, let's put a bet in anytime touchdown, not even anytime touchdown, just first quarter.
I'll go Christian Watson,
Is he playing?
Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks has good money value. That's why I'll do Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
Besides,
Vikings are coming in hot.
next
Packers. This
game,
is definitely a must win for you guys.
yeah. Next game, we got Patriots at Dolphins. Dolphins 9-point favorites in Miami. What do you got?
Uh That's another one head scratcher on the line because Dolphins didn't look amazing against the Eagles. Patriots, yeah, they just won against the Bills. Maybe they figured some stuff out. Patriots don't really play well in Miami though. I don't know. I think that Dolphins should win this game by 9. I don't know about that, but I know nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's going to be a closer game. I think the Patriots probably play it, defensively they lock in, and I think their offense plays better, but I don't know about a win. I could probably see a 7-point game similar. Jets at Giants, the MetLife game. Giants 3-point underdogs at home, shall we say? Uh,
Yeah.
Jets. This is a
Curious to
big,
see who has more fans in the stadium for this game.
yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Jets need to win this football game to keep their playoff hopes alive. It's kind of one of those games where you got to get this one, especially in a tough schedule you got. But
So both conferences right now have a slew of teams that could make the playoffs. Jets are still making that noise. Jets are still hopeful Aaron Rodgers will come back. Giants are kind of on the outside looking in right now. This win last week against the Commanders definitely boosts your spirits. 3 points, I understand it, but I think that the Jets defense will cause more havoc against the Giants offense than the Giants defense will give the Jets offense, if that makes any sort of sense.
No, I agree. Um, two really good defensive fronts. We got the Jags at Steelers. Steelers 2.5 point dogs at home. This is a good matchup. I think this is going to be one of those really big, pivotal, not playoff matchups, but are the Steelers legit? Let's just put this out there as like are the Steelers real game? And if the Steelers win this football game, okay, I'll consider the Steelers as a real football team. Whether they're like the Vikings last year as like the worst 13-4 team you've ever seen, or not, the Steelers, if they go to 5-2, you have to take them. You have to take them serious.
I'm never going to take them serious. I'm sorry. I don't think that their defense can keep put out like this output that they have. I don't. And I don't think their offense is going to score many points. Jags defense has looked pretty solid the last few weeks. Besides that, like letting the Saints creep back in that game, the Jags defense against the Bills was good. The Jags defense against the Colts was good, and then this past week against the Saints was good. I think that the Jags are a lot better than what we're giving them credit for. I don't think it's the Steelers are a lot better than we're giving them credit for.
Yeah. What do we got here? We got next game, Falcons at Titans. Titans are 2.5 point underdogs at home. Falcons going in, Desmond Ritter. Titans going in looking like Will Levis. So,
Yeah, I think that's where the spread comes from and why the Titans are underdogs.
I mean, I would still consider that. I would still put with Ryan Tannehill, the Falcons as a favorite, I'd say. But they don't have Kevin Byard anymore. What a trade. But here we go, Titans. You're really just looking at like what you got going for the rest of your year. And what's
Are
their
they,
record right now? They are
they beat the Bengals.
they're 2-4. So
Are they going to try and tank now? Because like, if
I
I'm
mean,
a
if
if
you get rid of Kevin Byard, you're not trying to
you're not
make it
trying
to
to
the
win,
playoffs.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also if I'm Mike Vrabel, how angry would you be about trading away fucking AJ Brown with how good AJ Brown has been these last 2 years in Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Like that trade is still absurd to me that the Titans got rid of him. He was good on the Titans.
Yeah.
And that was with Ryan Tannehill throwing him the ball. I know you're a Tannehill guy, but Tannehill's not great.
No, I agree.
Uh Falcons, if I'm you, Cole, I'm rooting so hard for the Titans this week.
I mean, yeah. Every AFC versus NFC, I've been rooting against the Falcons every week, and they kind of win those games, but we'll continue to see them just trickle through and
Somehow win
be the
games.
worst 7 seed of all fucking time.
Oh God.
We got Texans at Panthers, Panthers at home, 3 point underdogs to CJ Stroud. So it's the Bryce Young CJ Stroud game. This is
Yeah.
the excitement.
It's going to be a lot of Panthers fans are going to come out. Did we make the right pick? Is Bryce Young actually the guy? Should we have picked Stroud? I don't have a preference. I think that, well, I do have a preference. I do like CJ Stroud more than Bryce Young. I've been outright about that. But I think that Panthers fans need to relax with that and give Bryce Young more time to develop and give the guy some freaking weapons. I think CJ Stroud just landed in a better spot that was more ready for him to step in and be the starting quarterback. And he's taken that in stride and he's been great. I'm excited for this game. Both these teams are coming off a bye. I think that the Texans probably, you know, went in, saw what they were doing good in the last 3 games. They won. I think that the Texans are going to be like my kind of other team that I'm like, frisky, might be good, might make the playoffs. Hope they don't, because really don't want them to make the playoffs over the Browns. So
All right, we got our next game. Rams at Cowboys. Cowboys 6.5 point home favorites. Kind of a big line, but I guess you just look at how the Rams are losing and not putting up as many points as they need to. Rams look like they're going to be in every football game, and then they're going to, you know,
feel good
just have
away.
a hard time coming through. But what do you got on this one?
Cowboys coming off a bye. I think they're going to have some fresh legs. Rams looked a little bit defeated in that Steelers game. Tough game, brutal game. I kind of understand the 6.5 line towards the Cowboys, especially being at home coming off their bye. I'd look for the Cowboys to win this game like pretty handedly.
Yeah. Okay, we got Saints at Colts. Colts 1 point underdogs at home. This is going to be another good football game. Super Bowl 2009
9?
rematch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Drew
Tracy
Brees,
Porter.
Peyton Manning, but I think it's a good football game. Saints and what do the Saints have in them? What are the Colts? Do they, bounce back after that tough loss? The offense looked really good.
I
Defense
think
did not.
I think you'll see a lot more Jonathan Taylor in this game against the Saints. And Travis Etienne kind of carved up the Saints defense a little bit. I think that it's a little odd to me that the Colts are 1.5 point dogs. I don't think the Saints are
One
that
point
much better,
dogs.
or 1 point dogs. I don't think the Saints are that much better than the Colts. I think that this is more so should be a pick 'em, or the Colts should be favored because they're at home.
Yeah.
Also, Chris Olave got arrested, so
I think he's gonna play them.
oh yeah, I think so too. It was only like because he was going 70 and a 35. Who hasn't done that before?
Yeah. We got next game we got Eagles at Commanders. Kind of a weird like revenge game for the Eagles in my mind, even though they won. It's just kind of like I think the fact that the Commanders took them to overtime, they're kind of mad about it. But 6.5 point favorites, Eagles are on the road. I think this is probably going to be a closer one, but I think it'll be close early, and I think the Eagles will pull away.
I Are the Commanders reeling right now? Like, could we see them really just go in a tailspin and slide down after those first 4 weeks? Because we were talking about, hey, they're decent, and then they ran into the Bears on Thursday Night Football, got the doors blown off them, and then just lost to the Giants, who, in my book, I thought that the Commanders probably should have won that game. I did pick the Commanders, so I know nothing. That's where my I know nothing comes from. I think that the Eagles might blow the doors off them, is where I'm getting at.
What do you got next game?
What do I got for my next game? I think that covers all the 1 o'clock
Yeah.
games.
So then we go to the 4 p.m. Browns at Seahawks.
Yep.
Seahawks 3.5 point favorites at home in 12th man. This is probably the you know, if not like if I'm looking at the best matchups of the day, I'm gonna go Jags Steelers, and then it's probably this game is like the other game you're like, this is and I think Vikings Packers. I think that that game you can still, since it's early enough to be like, hey, that's a good game because there's a lot in the line. Like if whatever team wants to stay in it, that team needs to win. Vikings are on a 2 game win streak, but I'd say the Browns at Seahawks is like, if not the best game of the day. I think it's the or no, it's 3 games. 49ers Bengals, which we'll get to, Seahawks Browns, and then Jags Steelers are like my 3 good matchups that you're like, oh, I want to watch that one.
You don't think the Bears Chargers is going to be like a great game on Sunday night?
Worst primetime slate of all fucking time. Honestly, if tomorrow's a dud, those Sunday night and Monday night games, like Raiders
But
won. What
yeah,
the fuck are we doing, man? Like
I
that's the
I
Bears
said to you,
Chargers.
the Monday night game for Packers Raiders. I was like, why are the Raiders getting so many primetime games? But
Dude, I bet that stadium is 70% full in LA for Bears Chargers. Maybe.
uh
Maybe.
Browns Seahawks, though, I'm not very confident going into this game. Browns are going to be traveling west. I don't know what the Browns statistics are on traveling, but I feel like they suck.
Devin,
Anyways,
I'm just
any,
gonna go ahead.
anyways, they haven't really they've had a lot of home games. I don't know. PJ Walker is getting the start. Geno Smith is Geno Smith. He's better than PJ Walker. And I think that's why I'm going to lean towards the Seahawks winning this game because Kenneth Walker, he's a dude. He's good. I think he'll do some stuff for the Seahawks. Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I think DK Metcalf's going to come back. And I think that the Seahawks defense is actually very good.
Yeah, especially
And
in the
that could,
secondary.
and I think that could be a big problem for PJ Walker. And I think you could see Devin Witherspoon picking off PJ Walker 3 times.
That's what I literally was gonna say. Devin Witherspoon. Like, I just think they're Tariq Woolen. That team, Quandre Diggs, playing against like the second, like I don't think the Browns are gonna be able to pass the ball.
No.
And if they do, then that's a huge win for them. But and then Jerome Ford's out too, right?
Yep.
So you're looking at just Kareem Hunt really, which I like Kareem Hunt, but I don't like him as like your only weapon really
Out of the
that you can
backfield.
trust moving the ball. So that's where I'm like I initially circled the Browns in this game. So I was
That's
like, hey,
not a good
I like
idea.
them. I like them when it's over 3 points,
The
like 3.5. But then I changed my mind on picking that. So
the thing I don't really like about this game is that it's only 3.5. If I'm Vegas, I'm moving this line to like 8.
okay, because you're a Browns pessimist. Shut the fuck up. It's
No,
like no one's gonna pick the
I just
Browns
I
minus
just
like plus
don't
8.
I just don't think that this game is going to be in the 3.5 point zone. I think that the Browns
Okay.
will probably lose by 10.
You can say that you think the Browns will lose by 10, but don't tell Vegas. No one, everyone in their right mind is going to take the Browns plus 8, plus 10.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think that everyone's going to be hammering Seahawks minus 3.5.
All right, you want to make a personal bet with me on a
About what?
line like that?
Oh,
We do plus 9. Let's round it out. Plus 9. Let's do $20. Plus
I said
9
8.
odds. What?
I said 8.
You said 8 to 10.
I said 8, and then I said I could see the Browns losing by
So
10.
let's do 8.
All right, so personal bet between the two of us. What happens if you
I
beat the
think
if
I think the Browns cover I think the Browns cover plus 8, and you think they lose by more than 8. You said 10.
Yeah, I think they lose by more than 8.
Let's do $10 on it.
$10. $10 bet between
And
Kyle and Cole.
this is a virtual shake.
There's a virtual shake. There's your
It'll
shake.
happen on Sunday.
It'll
Okay.
happen.
All right. Ravens at Cardinals.
Ravens.
Cardinals are 8.5 point underdogs at home. That's another big line that you're just like, you want to take the Ravens so bad, but 8.5 points and it's the NFL.
Yeah, these guys play professional football too. Ravens looked like world beaters last week. I think they stood up for that game with the Lions coming into town. Now they're traveling out west to Arizona. I could see them throwing up a little bit of a dud, still pulling out a victory though. I don't think 8.5 though.
Yeah, that's really all I have on that game. Chiefs at Broncos. Chiefs 7 point favorites on the road in Denver. Another big line. I just think the Broncos played the Chiefs pretty well, and you're kind of just like nothing that's like I'm not super enticed by that, but hard time seeing the Chiefs at 6-1 fall off. But it's the mantra this week or this year is week to week, so
Yeah,
I
it
wouldn't
also
be
just
shook.
but it also shocks me that didn't the Chiefs play the Broncos 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, if
Yes, they
wasn't
played on
two,
Thursday night.
did they?
Yeah, they played on Thursday night. They not this past week, the week before this. They played on Thursday night when I was in the field because I watched it on my phone.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it.
But yeah, no, I like I. It's just weird to me that they're playing so quickly um back to each other. I I I don't think the Broncos are good, and I'm sorry for your Packers, but I Chiefs -7. I think the spread last time was 9.5, and they beat them by 10, 12.
Yeah. Um, who we got? Our next one we have is Bengals at 49ers. Niners 3.5 point favorites, even with Sam Darnold at quarterback. Again, I don't think that's a huge surprise. I think people liken Sam Darnold to a Brock Purdy, and some people even were saying that he would be better than Brock Purdy going into the season.
Mm.
I'm not going to say that, but it's the 49ers, and they're on a 2-game
Skid.
losing streak. And if they go on a 3-game, that's tough, but they're at home. The Bengals aren't the Bengals yet, so they're not like in some rhythm. And I think you can still. So I don't know. I like this. I like the Niners in this one.
You like the Niners in this one. Bengals are coming off a bye. I hope you remember that. I think that they might have gotten a little bit more healthy. Joe Burrow, his calf wasn't bothering him as much in the game before their bye week. Niners, they are reeling a little bit right now, and having Sam Darnold start might scare some Niners fans, but he's definitely, if he knows the playbook, knows where the ball needs to go. I think Sam Darnold will do just fine. This is another reason, Cole, why I also don't think that the Seahawks Browns is going to be close, because I think the Seahawks realize that the 49ers are like reeling a little bit right now and have a chance to claim the top spot in the NFC West and put some more pressure on the Niners.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to actually happen with division. I don't think it's going to flip. You can say it, but
Stranger things have happened.
it's October.
It's
Um,
October. It's spooky-tober.
Next game, Bears at Chargers. Chargers 8.5 point favorites. Sunday Night
Best
Football.
game of the week right
Yeah.
here, folks.
And I'm serious. I would not be shocked if this turned out to be a good game. The Bears are playing, inspired football, and the Chargers are not. Regardless of what the roster is, you're looking at the Bears and you're saying, okay, like if they go out there and play, you know, disciplined and like they remotely like they played against the Raiders, you like the Bears in that game.
Here's a
But
headline for you. Bears beat the Chargers in LA. Monday morning, we wake up. Brandon Staley fired.
yeah, I mean, Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. I like it all.
That's what I'm going with. That's my prediction for this game. That's
I
gonna
see us having a
that'll
lot
be
of the
my
same
that'll be
picks.
my underdog too. I'll double down on it. That's my underdog for the week.
Your lock of the week, you mean?
No, my underdog.
Okay,
My
that's not
my
a, that's not a pick we do.
Yeah, it is. We do.
No, we don't. We've never done that.
Who's your lock and upset of the week?
Yeah, I said so. That's your upset.
Yeah, you said lock. I was like, no, not saying
Oh,
that's my
okay,
lock. I'm
okay,
saying this is
okay,
my upset.
okay. Got you. All right,
Uh, I I
Raiders.
really haven't put in a lot of thought into that, but I saw this game and I was like, I could see the Bears winning this game and the Chargers being 8.5 point favorites.
Yeah,
8.5.
yeah.
That's a big time favorite for the Chargers that I don't think they have any fucking business being 8.5 point favorites against anybody right now.
All right, next game: Raiders at Lions. Lions 8 point favorites at home in Detroit against the Raiders. Uh, who's gonna get right game? I'm looking at the Lions like they've got to, but what do you got in that one?
Uh,
Not your pick, just what do you think before we move to?
I think the Lions will get right in this game. I think that they're going to go back to Detroit. Dan Campbell's going to be like, fuck it. We're going to be a strong, tough team. Bite your kneecaps, and we're going to run the fucking damn ball. It doesn't matter who's in my backfield. We're going to run the goddamn ball. And they're going to be hungry going into this game. And I don't know who's starting for the Raiders. I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo's gotten cleared yet. And Raiders, just start preparing for the draft already. All right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to review this with you really quick. Bills -8.5, Dolphins -9, Cowboys -6.5, Eagles -6.5, Ravens -8.5, Chiefs -7, Chargers -8.5, Lions -8.
Yep.
That is a lot of high spreads. That's all touchdown spreads right there.
Yeah. I mean, 6.5, not, but yeah. If you count the extra one.
That's what it has to be. They have to win by a touchdown if they to cover.
Okay. And then last game, we're finished with that.
We're finished.
So third down. So on locks, let's just go through our locks and upsets. Cole, his lock last week was the Seahawks, and they beat the Cardinals.
Good job,
and Cole's upset was the Jags, and they also beat the Saints. So Cole is 6-1 on locks, and he goes to 3-4 on upsets. Kyle picked the Niners as his lock to beat the Vikings. And then he picked the Lions to beat the Ravens as his upset.
Lost.
So Kyle falls to 3-4 on locks and 5-2 on upsets.
Yep.
Just to keep our track for 7 weeks. I'll give my lock and upset really quick. I have the Lions as my lock, and I have the Panthers as my upset. So I have
the
Lions over the Raiders as my lock, and I have the Panthers over the Texans as my upset.
Give me the so for my lock, who's gonna be my lock of the week? Eeny, meeny, miny, Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys are my lock of the week just to win outright against the Rams. And my upset, I've already stated it, Bears. Give me the Bears to beat the fucking Chargers. Do I have a lot of faith that that'll happen? After that, no. It's probably going to blow up in my face. But that's the fun of this.
Agree. Fourth down.
Fourth down.
Matchup.
Fourth down. Big down right here. Best sneaky matchup.
So last week, to review, Kyle had the Lions and Ravens as his best matchup.
Stinker.
That was a 32-point game. And he had his Steelers and Rams as a sneaky matchup. Not a bad game. Cole had best matchup Dolphins Eagles. Kind of a bad game, but also not terrible. Sneakiest Falcons at Bucks. That was a sloppy game, but good, tight football game at the end of the game. So
tight football game, field goal to win the game for the Falcons. Good victory.
I'm gonna go best matchup Bengals 49ers. I just think that's gonna be one of those games. It's gonna be close late in the fourth quarter between two high pedigree teams. I don't see a way where the 49ers blow out the Bengals, and I don't see a way where the Bengals blow out the Niners. So something that I think the Bengals are going to be in that game, but the Niners still pull ahead and win. I have sneakiest matchup. Packers play close football games.
Damn, that was my best matchup.
And I think there's going to be there's something about the Packers playing down to the fourth quarter on the last drive. I see the Vikings as a team that also plays inspired football right now, and Packers they have a lot of pride in their team and organization. So I just think that'll be a close game. It's going to be exciting football.
Yeah, that was going to be my best matchup. I kind of, because we were talking about it earlier, the implications that this game could play later on in the season. Vikings are on a little bit of a streak here. Packers lost before the bye week, go to the bye week, come out of the bye week and lose. Not great. Want to have like a get right game. You'd love to do that against a divisional opponent. So that'll be a fun one to watch, in my opinion. I think sneakiest matchup, I think the Jets and Giants, that's going to be a sneaky one. I think that I mentioned it earlier when we were previewing the game that The two defenses look very good for both of these teams. The offenses don't look great. I think that it'll be a defensive matchup. The total points for this game is 36.5. I might actually take the over on that and hope for like a defensive touchdown because these two defenses are that good. So I think that game will be a little bit fun, and it'll be a little hidden trick in there will be who has more fans in the stadium.
Yeah, it'll be electric the whole time. You said your best was Packers Vikings.
Yeah.
Okay, and then pick six. So on the season, Kyle is 22-20. Cole is 24-18. So still above 500 for Kyle. Still above 500 for Cole.
Yeah, that's all we're looking for right now.
Kyle is 0-6 in the week, though. And I am 1-5 on the week from week 7. We both had the Rams, the Lions, and the
Raiders.
And those games did not go our way. I also had the Saints did not go my way. I had the Browns by -2, did not go my way. And then I had the
Eagles -1.5.
Eagles -1.5, which did. So very close to 2 and 4. And then you also had the Commanders -.
Nope.
You also had the
Packers.
You had the Packers -1, and then you had the
Chargers +5.5.
Funny enough, we've not had a push yet.
Yeah.
But anyways, my 6 picks, I already have them. I'll go down the line if you want me to go 1 for 1.
No, we'll go 1 for 1 like we've been going.
I'll go first. I have the Packers even.
Oh, that's your first one?
Yep.
My first one, the Vikings even.
I believe you. I'm not good when I pick my team, but I have faith. All right, second one, I have the Colts +1 against the Saints.
I was actually going to take the Colts as well, +1. I liked what I saw out of Gardner Minshew last week.
So Colts as well. I have my next one. I have the Eagles -6.5 at the Commanders.
I don't have that one. I have I like the Jags against the Steelers -2.5.
I also have the Seahawks -3.5 at home against the Browns.
Seahawks -3.5, but also +8 against me directly.
Yes.
For the Browns.
Yes.
I'll take the Texans -3 against the Panthers.
You have the Texans +3? -3.
Yeah, no, the Texans are favored -3.
Okay. And then I have the 49ers -3.5.
Niners -3.5. So I'll just make it interesting. I liked the Bengals +3.5.
And then I have the Bears +8.5.
You have the Bears +8.5. I do like that pick by you, +8.5 for the Bears. The only thing that I liked a little bit more, and it was kind of just to help you out. Oh, do I want to do it? Yeah, I'll do it. Titans plus what was the line?
2.5.
2.5 against the Falcons.
All right.
If I didn't pick the Bears for my upset, the Titans were going to be my upset to help you out.
Okay. Who's got the juice? You had last week Tyreek Hill. I had Max Crosby. You said Tyreek Hill had how many yards in a touchdown?
I don't know how many yards he had. I'm pretty sure he had a touchdown though, but I was more curious to see how good Max Crosby performed in a 30-12 loss.
1 sack, 5 tackles.
5 tackles.
Not terrible.
Tyreek Hill in the Eagles-Dolphins game had 11 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. That's underneath his season average, but he's still putting up big numbers. Who's got the juice for you this week, Cole?
I kind of have I'm at like a tie, kind of a three-way tie, but
That's a lot
going
of
back
people.
to going back to Travis Etienne, Deontay Foreman, and then Jordan Addison were my three players that I just thought kind of all are on the up and up. But I'll stay with Travis Etienne. Going back, he's like got like a touchdown or two. He's been on like a 7 touchdown season just in the last 5 weeks or something like that. So he looked really good, especially early against the Saints. Looks like the first round pick that they got.
So for this week, my who's got the juice? I'm gonna go Puka Nakua. This dude, a freaking late round pick by the Rams out of BYU, has absolutely balled out this season. He had another good game against the Steelers. Steelers fans were giving him shit, saying he did nothing against Joey Porter Jr. Oh, well, he still went for 12 targets, 8 receptions for 154 yards against your team. Like, that's nothing to, wave a finger at. That's still insane numbers, especially with Cooper Kupp being fully healthy now. He's still gathering that many targets and receptions for that team. That's who's got the juice type of numbers. I saw a stat too that he's like the first player, him and Jamar Chase are the first two people in like their rookie years to have this, however many yards he's accumulated these first 7 weeks in his season. They're the first two to ever do it. He's putting up like Randy Moss type numbers, which is insane to think of because no one thought that anybody would have Randy Moss type numbers
I
ever
mean,
again.
he also just doesn't look like he's gonna put up 150 on
Yeah.
receptions on you. But that's profiling, which I don't condone. So
Yeah, don't profile out there, folks. Don't do that. That's not good stuff.
yeah.
You got any wrap up thoughts before we close this out?
That's all I got.
All you got. Let's hope for a Packers win and a Browns win this week. Will the boys be back at PS Tavern this Sunday? I won't, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
You won't be?
No, I'm going to go to Atlanta.
Asshole. Okay.
Ha, sorry. But
I'll be there with Raph.
oh, he's going to be here this weekend. I totally forgot about that. But anyways, folks, let's not dive too much into our personal lives. We like to keep it real here on MnM Going Deep. Keep it all about the NFL. That's a wrap for MnM Going Deep week 7 recap. We'll catch you guys next week for week 9. Hope you have a great